Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this video, I'm going to be reviewing X-Men Apocalypse. So, this movie is exceptional. It's by far the best action movie I've seen in a long time. Definitely better than all of the comic book movies I've seen. Is what I would say if I hadn't seen this movie and based it strictly on what I wanted it to be. It could have been awesome. It could have been great. The X-Men, lots of characters, lots of various superpowers, interesting designs, color, cool bad guys, cool storylines. Could have been all of that. But it was none of that. This movie was really bad. Really bad. Not BVS bad. Maybe. I don't know. It's almost as bad as Batman vs. Superman. There's so many things wrong with this movie. I'm going to try to keep this short. I doubt I'm going to. I didn't write a script or anything for this review. I just want to give you guys my emotions, my initial reaction after seeing the movie. I only saw it like a couple hours ago. It's still fresh in my mind. I'm going to give you that. Straight from my head to the camera to your intake ports. This is going to have spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and don't want to be spoiled, click that watch later button. Watch it after you see the movie. See what you think. See if you agree with me. I imagine some people will, some people won't. But from this point forward, there may be a spoiler, so if you don't want a spoiler, avoid the rest of this video. Now, Rotten Tomatoes has this movie under 50% from the critics, around 74% I think last time I checked for users. I feel like the critics are right. Maybe not 100% right, but pretty close. It's not a good movie, especially because of it being the X-Men. There's so much potential. We haven't really realized that potential in a single X-Men movie yet. The first two, most people really liked the first two for what they were. Not that they were fantastic films, but they enjoyed them. A lot of people didn't like the third one. Personally, I think the third one had a lot going for it, but they ruined so many characters that obviously it pulled it down, and that's why most people don't like that third one. Then we have these two new ones from the reboot, but not really reboot continuation series, where they've gone back in time and totally just screwed up everything plot-wise. So a lot of people really liked those two, and I thought they were pretty decent films, but still, as an X-Men film, none of them really felt good. Never really felt like I was watching the X-Men. Do you guys have that response to these movies? To me, it feels kind of like generic approximations of X-Men characters. I would say the closest two are Magneto and Xavier, but that's kind of easy because they don't really do much. I mean, Magneto, he does stuff, but he's more story-driven, and they do a good job. But aside from those two, I've always felt like I wanted more. This movie is just more of that. I would place this movie worse than number 3. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me about that, but here's why. I'm going to try to go through everything I can think of as to why this movie's that bad in terms of the other movies. None of the characters felt right at all, and that's mostly because it's really poorly constructed. I don't think Bryan Singer needs to be in charge of these movies at all. We need to go a new direction. We need a reboot. We need to have that new Spider-Man Homecoming for X-Men. Start over. Jim Lee X-Men, go with it. Done. Anybody could do it other than Bryan Singer, better than Bryan Singer. Anyway, back to this movie. None of the characters really, they didn't have any purpose in this movie. The plot was so loosely constructed, so vague in places, and so generic in others that it's like nobody, what's going on? Apocalypse is here, kind of tell us who he is. They don't really say what his powers are. He's got all of the powers, except for the one he needs, which we find out later. And he didn't even know he needed it until he saw it, and then that became the new driving force of the movie, when he found out about Xavier's power. He didn't even know, but everything he had done to that point worked out so that that would become the new focus. What? No, that's no good. And then, Apocalypse always has 4 horsemen. We find that out early, so he needs to recruit people. He needs his 4 horsemen. He wants the most powerful. Turns out, he just wants the first 4 he sees. What? No, none of it made any sense. And then all he has to do to get them to be his horsemen, I'll give you powers that are stronger than your current powers. All right, that sounds cool. Thanks. Now I'm going to be an evil bad guy that's going to do your bidding and destroy the earth. That's the thought process for each of the four horsemen. That makes no sense. They never explain if he's doing anything to their minds. They never explain anything other than he makes them stronger. What he does for Psylocke, her sword glows a little brighter, and now she's got this weird outfit that looks like the comic version, or it looks like a new version of the comic look for her, which is kind of good, except it's not like, it doesn't fit her very well. It doesn't look good. It looks like she's wearing cosplay. It's weird. So he gives her a costume. Okay. What's her power? How is she enhanced from Apocalypse? We don't know. What's her motivation for working with him? We don't know. Storm. He's got Storm on his side. What's he do for her? We're not entirely sure. We know she has powers beforehand. Now he turns her hair white, gives her a new outfit. Maybe her powers are stronger now? Maybe? What's her motivation for working for him? We don't know. Angel, which is entirely different from the Angel we saw before in the third X-Men movie, which those are all gone, by the way, now because of the last movie and the whole time paradox thing. It's all gone. We're starting fresh, but still Angel's here, even though that one still should exist somewhere at some point. Whatever. New Angel. Weird version of Angel. Also, while we're on the topic, Angel's flight in this movie looks ridiculous. He flaps his wings like half a flap, and he just starts hovering around, moving around. He's so clearly on wires. It doesn't look good at all. The wing flapping, first of all, his wings aren't big enough to pick him up as easily as they are, if at all. He'd have to be like a hummingbird to fly around the way he is, but he's not. He just flaps these big goofy wings. Really bad. Anyway, they go to him. His wings are all beat up from a really ridiculous fight scene between Nightcrawler and Angel. We'll get to that. His wings are broken, but he's still flying a little bit, but it hurts kinda. It's like, we don't know what's going on with this movie. Let's give him a reason to be working for Apocalypse. So Apocalypse says, I'll fix you or whatever. I don't know. He doesn't say that, but he does. He fixes him by making these bony metallic protrusions come out, and his other wings turn into metallic wings, and now he's got these big metal wings, which look pretty good. They look similar to the ones we've seen in the comics. That's pretty cool. He gives him a new outfit. That's pretty cool. Then he gives him face tattoos. Like, you know what? Mike Tyson had a good idea. Let's put him on superheroes. No. Turn his skin blue. You don't have any problem doing that for other people. There's like 10 blue people in this movie. They even make a joke about it. Turn him blue, shave his head, give him the hood. Fine. No, let's give him a weird mullet mohawk instead and face tattoos. That would be good. It's not good. It's not good at all. Talking about blue people, while we're on that topic, why is Jennifer Lawrence still in this movie? Why are they focusing on Mystique? Jennifer Lawrence isn't that hot anymore. The Mockingbird movies didn't even do that well. They tapered off. Okay? She's fine. I don't have anything against Jennifer Lawrence, but Mystique, but really just Jennifer Lawrence because she's almost never Mystique in this movie. She's barely ever blue. She's not in it. I mean, Mystique's not in it. Lawrence is in it too much. It's all about her. Now, even at the end, she's training the new cadets. Cyclops and Jean. She's training them. What? Where did that come from? Why is that a thing? So that's one blue person, although she's barely ever blue because too much money, too much blue, I guess. They didn't think of that ahead of time. Apocalypse, Beast, Mystique, Nightcrawler, Archangel if they did it. Let's just make everybody blue. Let's just make sure we cast all of the blue superheroes from X-Men and we'll be good. So many bad decisions. So let's move on to Nightcrawler. Can we get a good Nightcrawler? They did the bamfing well. He poofed. That's fine. He's a little doofus, though. He's like scared of things. He's not a good fighter. He's not anything. He's just a kid from the circus. Can't they just take him and make him a cool character once? I mean, Nightcrawler's a badass. And I know he's supposed to be like a non-hostile Switzerland type of character. But they're going way too far. Can we get a good one just once? Please? And we don't need the emo hair. No, let's not. And then Beast. Good job. I like the Nicholas Hoult. I like him. I think he does a really good job playing that character. I like him in the movie, but Beast as an X-Men is not supposed to be a combat person. Yeah, sure, he can fight, but he's all about the brains. Doesn't really bring anything to the table in a fight, especially when you have Beast fighting Psylocke. That was a horrible fight scene. The choreography was terrible. It wasn't interesting. It was just bad. And at one point in this apocalyptic scene, he not only stops a car from being, it's like flying at him, he stops the car in the air, not on the ground, in the air, and then turns around and throws it. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't think Beast was that strong. I mean, I knew he was strong, but come on. That's a bit much. Just felt out of place. The whole thing felt out of place. So let's go back now to the other blue person, Nightcrawler, and his fight with Angel. Totally contrived, horribly choreographed, felt super stringy, like they were all just hanging on strings, and so bad, so bad. So now we can go back. We're doing a lot of jumping, but that's okay. These movies jump around through time anyway. Back to Magneto, the last horseman. What's his motivation? He's always been kind of a grumpy dude. You know, the whole Auschwitz thing, not a good backstory for Magneto. He's got some emotions built up. That's fine. And they use his emotions in this movie a little bit. Starts off with his wife and daughter getting killed because of him. Because he's a mutant. And that sets him off. Instead of hiding and being a normal guy, he goes off and kill people. I said go off twice. He goes off mentally and he goes off physically. You get what I'm saying? Anyway, he starts killing people again. He's like, yeah, I'm going to be a bad guy. That's what I'm supposed to be. I'm a bad guy. So he's trying to kill some people, and then Apocalypse and the other goons show up, and they're like, hey. And then Magneto turns around in this really it was kind of a serious moment. He's getting ready to kill people. They show up and he says very awkwardly, who the F are you? Like, just drop the F-bomb. PG-13 movie, they can get away with it, but it's totally out of place and unnecessary. Wasn't funny, wasn't well-timed, it just was weird. That wasn't any good. But moving aside from that, Magneto decides, I'll join anyway. What the heck? We don't really know his motivation either. What's his power boost? Apparently unlimited power. I know Magneto is supposed to be super strong, especially against these other guys. He's the only horseman that's actually got any juice, by the way. But he's super, like, General Zod's machine, terraforming machine strong. He's doing magnetic stuff throughout the entire planet. Global catastrophe. How many movies are they going to do that in? How many superhero movies do we have to have this ridiculously large-scale global catastrophe? That just gets resolved at the end, especially in this movie. Magneto at the very end. Oh, okay. There's so many things, I gotta keep it straight. All of the bad guys, except for Psylocke, which we don't know why, they stop being Apocalypse's goons just because. No real reason. Storm, they don't even show her change other than all of a sudden she's fighting with the good guys. Magneto talks to Raven a little bit, and kind of Quicksilver. We'll talk about Quicksilver in a minute. And then he just decides at the end, okay, I'll fight against Apocalypse also. Psylocke, no, that never really happens. Angel, nah, not much really happens with him. And at the end, it shows Psylocke kind of like watching, and then she like lurks and then sneaks off. Like, why? What's she doing? What's she going to do? She wasn't even a bad guy in the first place. Did she just act poorly and we were supposed to think she was scared? I mean, what was she doing? It was weird. So weird. So yeah, all of the four horsemen end up not working with Apocalypse anymore, and that's fine because he didn't need him anyway. He's got super molecular combining, destroying, dust-making powers. That's what he does. So anytime he's in a combat situation that he's not using those powers is ridiculous. He makes this giant city-sized pyramid, but he can't fight X-Men who are 15 years old. It's ridiculous. All of it's ridiculous. None of it's good. Quicksilver's good. Kind of. They did the thing they did last time with the slow motion, like action-y, slow but fast motion thing. That was cool. It felt a little bit dragged on, but that was still cool. But here's the thing. So X-Mansion blows up, which is funny because Deadpool said in his movie, the X-Mansion blows up like every other year, which almost at the start of the movie it does. Speaking of which, Deadpool's a much better X-Men film than this, by far. So the X-Mansion blows up for really dumb reasons. I don't need to go into all those details. Quicksilver happens to be there and realizes what's happening, so he runs throughout all of the mansion and saves all the people in the mansion. Except somehow for Havoc. I thought he saved Havoc. My brother thought he saw him save him too, but then afterwards, all of a sudden Havoc's not there and everybody thinks he's dead. So It was unclear to me. Maybe you guys saw it better than I did. If you've seen it more than once, let me know. That'll help. Maybe they're going to do an X Factor offshoot. I sure hope not, because these movies aren't good enough for that. I don't know. Whatever. He has a cool scene. He does a couple other cool things, but he's like... only a couple of the X-Men are actually worthwhile in this movie. He does some cool stuff. Doesn't save the movie. Jean, Sansa, does a good job playing Jean. I like her enough. Accent a little bit iffy sometimes, but she was pretty good. That was alright, but not a big deal again. None of these characters really had any screen time. The people that had the most screen time, other than Apocalypse, and Magneto kind of, but they all felt unimportant. Cyclops and Xavier, basically... other than Jean, none of it really mattered. Like, everything that happened just felt so inconsequential, and it was boring for the most part. Lots of explosions, lots of stuff, lots of Magneto stuff, still really boring. The pacing was bad. There was never any weight to anything. Oh, man. I didn't care for very much of it. And then they had the nerve to say make a joke about the third movie's always the worst in a franchise, making fun of the old third movie, like not this one, when in reality this one was just as bad as the other one, only with a bigger budget, so it's tricking people into thinking it's okay when it's really not, because even most of the special effects were bad. At one point they have this container ship with all the containers, and Magneto's magnetizing things, and they're flying around, and the containers look like I could have just gone into ZBrush and sculpted some containers and threw them in one of my videos. It's way too much work for me to do, so I'm not going to do that. But they were that bad, like super bad CGI. And then the other CGI throughout the rest of the film, still not great. It wasn't good most of the time. It was acceptable. Wolverine was in the movie for a minute. That was all right. People are okay with that, from what I understand, and I'm okay with it too. The part made sense. We see where he's going. He's gotten back to having been through the Weapon X procedure. He's got his metal stuff. Because all of that stuff that we've already seen, that didn't happen anymore, because we're back in time, remember. They reset. So now he's got all of his metal claws and everything. And then he goes on a rampage, kills all the people at Alkali Lake, and Jean fixes his brain a little bit, and he runs off. That was it. So that's nice that he was in there, but it was like inconsequential. It didn't really matter. It didn't hurt the film. It didn't make a difference. They could have come up with a really easy way to do it without him doing that, but they wanted Wolverine in it. They wanted Hugh Jackman's name attached to it. No payoff. There's really no payoff in any of this. At the end of this whole thing, after Magneto basically starts to destroy the world for Apocalypse, he goes good, helps save the day. Everybody's happy again. He even helped them rebuild the mansion. He and Jean are he's using his magnets. Jean's using her brain power, her telekinesis. They rebuild the mansion. Apparently they both know how to build mansions, but that's beside the point. And he's a good guy. He walks away, we're making jokes. We're old friends. I'm not going to work with you, but we're still pretty chummy. He just almost destroyed the world. Come on. And Jean has the Phoenix, and apparently she's able to use it effectively at this point. She's only 15 or whatever she is. I guess that's okay. Maybe they're going to develop that going forward. If they do, that it takes over. I don't know. They just threw in fan servicey stuff, and none of it paid off. It all felt forced. None of the flow was there in a good movie. It was just loosely put together, poorly directed, poorly written, poorly choreographed, poorly produced. The production qualities weren't high like in the CGI. It was just blah. Total blah. And the reason I'm so upset about it is because look at all these good movies we have. Look to the Avengers. Avengers and X-Men, not that far off in terms of being able to put a movie out to the public. Bunch of superheroes, world-ending event, need to stop it. Bunch of superheroes, world-ending event, need to stop it. Do what they're doing. At least a little bit. Try. Could have been so much better. Instead, we get Ivan Ooze walking around, smaller than his horseman, by the way. He's like tiny. He's not imposing at all. Sure, the face looks okay, I guess, but and like the voice and when the eyes go white, it's kind of reminiscent of Apocalypse, but he's still tiny. And he's wearing Herman Munster boots to make him look less tiny, but he's still really small. And the thing is, it wouldn't be a big deal if they shot it right so you could see that he was bigger than them or anything like that. They didn't. In fact, most of the time, it's just him and the Horseman standing around not doing anything awkwardly. It was really weird. Oh man, I could just keep going talking about all the weird stuff that didn't make any sense. No, I don't want to go through the entire movie, but it's just so many things are not good about this movie. Sansa was okay. Xavier's good. I like James McAvoy. I think he's a really good actor, but he didn't do much. Even Magneto. I mean, aside from almost destroying the world, he spent most of his time just hanging from a couple wires going like this. Wolverine didn't contribute. Cyclops is still a doofus. Beast, he's fine. I like the actor. I like Beast as a character, but he doesn't bring anything to the table for the movie, so that didn't matter. Olivia Munn. Ooh, Olivia Munn's in this movie as Psylocke, who doesn't do anything. There's like a 5-minute fight scene. Otherwise, she's just standing there most of the time, really awkwardly with her legs like really far apart. Just name a character other than Jean and Xavier and Quicksilver, and I'll tell you that they didn't matter. It could have been anybody. I mean, in terms of being fun to watch. Okay, obviously we needed Magneto to do the magnet stuff, and we needed Apocalypse to dissolve things and then die at the end because he didn't really do anything else. He dissolved a few people, dissolved a few things, built a pyramid, dies. We think, maybe, because Jean uses the Phoenix. Plot was super thin. Acting was okay. Can we please get Mystique out of the main role? We don't need Mystique in there at all at this point. Stop attaching, what's her name? Whatever, Katniss Everdeen. Basically, Katniss Everdeen, most of this movie, talked exactly like, said the same things, acted the same way, Katniss Everdeen, with sometimes blue makeup on her face. We don't need that anymore. In fact, we don't need Bryan Singer. We don't need this at all anymore. Get rid of it. It's not good. It's not working. Reboot. Jim Lee style. Even not Jim Lee. Something else if you want to, but not what you have now. Wipe the slate. Start fresh. I'm done. I'm disappointed. That was a lot longer than I intended it to be. But the more I think about it, the more it frustrates me how bad this movie was. Talk about it in the comment section below. If you guys have questions or comments, put them down there. I want to talk about it more. There's probably things I missed. I jumped around a lot. I probably started things I didn't finish. I apologize. Like I said, I don't want to do scripted reviews. That doesn't help. These aren't canned reviews. These are real personal reviews. So let me know what you guys think. If you saw it, cool. If you didn't, then go see it and then we'll talk about it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video.